This is pirate software.
Ban anybody that knows what I said.
No, wait. This is pirate software.
Yeah, so I worked at Blizzard for 7 years.
If you've been on the internet for the past year, you've most likely heard of him and his ongoing situation. He's done. There's more. Insane update. Wild update. Damn, an insane and wild update, dude. What the fuck is this guy getting up to? Today, I want to briefly go over the cliff notes on Pirate Software's disgusting behavior from his early days in Second Life until now. I think everybody is collectively starting to just give up on him and move on, which I think is a good thing. I really don't think that Jason, his real name, I don't think Jason should even be a topic of conversation anymore. Not because he's like grown or learned from his mistakes or anything like that. Quite literally the opposite. I think throughout his entire adult life, it seems that Jason has never and will never learn from his mistakes or take any accountability for them. So I think it's about time we just stop caring about Pirate Software as a whole. Jason's troubled history starts all the way back in Second Life, back around 2006, where he operated under the name Maldavius Figtree. He just shivered in his sweaty little gamer chair hearing that name. You see, Jason actually tried to scrub any mention of this Figtree character, even making a wiki fur removal request in which he says, "I would like this removed entirely. I attempted to edit out my information and it keeps being replaced." Now, why would he do that? Could it be that Jason had a terrible track record as a Second Life furry? Maybe. On September 16th, 2006, Jason started a company in Second Life called Dark Sphere Creations, or DSC. I know, it sounds super serious and fucking badass, dude. I get it. The company would mainly make furry avatars with big boobies, I guess, that they'd charge real life money for. It was around 800 Linden dollars, which is the Second Life currency, and 800 Linden dollars converts roughly to about $2.50 USD. All was really well and good, and his company was successful until disaster struck when Maldavius decided to fire his avatar designer, Wingless Emoto. Maldavius fired Emoto during a meeting he scheduled for a time when he knew Emoto would be asleep and unable to attend. During this meeting, Maldavius claimed that Emoto was being paid too much and because of that needed to be removed from the staff. And if that wasn't already enough, Figtree here continued to sell the avatars that Emoto made for him without compensating them for the work they had done, like at all. Emoto, when asked by the other members of the community about this Maldavius Figtree character, this legendary Maldavius Figtree, Emoto said, "I always knew he was an ass, but this is just low, even for him." A group chat conversation was leaked where Mr. Figtree tries to explain away the criticism and dodge accountability, something we all have come to know all too well over the years. So it starts here with Rick Van Hazlitt. He says, he drops a link to Second Life Herald, which is a tabloid for Second Life news, I guess. And he says, "My next question is, why are you still selling her avatars if she asked you to take them down?" Maldavius replies, "I did the scripting for them and paid for all the uploads. They are half my content. I told her she would be paid on Fridays for the sales when she turns in the weekly report as usual, and she freaked. So if half the content is mine and I agreed to only take half the revenue as I always did, then why would she be pissed? I planned the meeting, told her about it, she played WoW till 4 a.m. and slept through it. Not my fault." What would you have done, Rick? I tried telling her to get to work, said Dark Sphere Creations would cover the cost of a new tablet for her, and all she told me is she wanted to play WoW. So yes, she's no longer on staff, and if she wants money, she can turn in a report like everyone else. Rickvin then says, "How do you turn in a report for a company that you don't work for anymore?" Maldavius replies, "You hand it to me over a profile. It's a note card. She doesn't need to be in a group to drop it on my profile, now does she?" Rickvin then replies, "Mal, as a friend, you're treading on dangerous thin ice right now." Spelling is fucking terrible, I know. "Not from me, but from a standpoint on your company." Maldavius replies, "Rickvin, I had to do what was best for the company. I realize you don't see that." "I realize you don't see that, but I'm not the only one who wanted her gone." Okay. We can choose to believe or disbelieve what Maldavius here is trying to sell us on. So as you can see, this Rickvin character also has a bad taste in their mouth after hearing Figtree's reasoning for essentially stealing an entire body of work from someone and then firing them. Maldavius as a name was known very well in the community for some pretty terrible things. An account by the name LOL posted a long comment on the forum talking about the Emoto scandal, in which they lay out various controversies that Figtree had found himself in involving his company. I'll give you an excerpt that'll really just paint the whole picture for what this dude was like behind closed doors when given a minuscule amount of power over people. So it says, much of the drama in his little world centers around his penis. Whoa. Female employees in his company, as well as any female landowner on his Sims, unlucky enough to attract his attention, in parentheses, which isn't hard, he spends a lot of time spying on people, are invariably subjected to constant sexual harassment. If they refuse his advances, he threatens them. Sometimes he holds their employment over their heads. Sometimes he threatens to reclaim their land. Sometimes he just bans them from the sim. If he has any personal information on them at all, he uses that. However, because he seeks out the weak-willed, submissive, and desperate, many fall to his advances and do the textual nasty with him. He then holds this over their heads as more personal ammunition to use against them. So all this clearly is just allegations from a random account from well over 15 years ago. There's no telling if what is said here is true. I'm not saying that it is or isn't, but given that there are multiple screenshots of Maldavius engaging in pickle juice adjacent activities, if you get what I mean, it seems like at the very least, Maldavius was extremely sexually charged on Second Life, to say the least. It seems like that was the main thing that he was on there for, is not only to make money at Dark Sphere Creations, but just to, you know, get his little hog wet, get his little hog trotted on. I don't know what the fuck you'd call it. I mean, for God's sake, the main product of his company was booby furries. He was just on there to goon. It was goon hours, goon cave. That was it. Following all the little tiffs that Maldavius would be caught in during the time on Second Life, years later, both Maldavius and Emoto made up and are now very close friends, as stated by both Jason and Emoto publicly. But Jason Hall's degeneracy does not end there, unfortunately. Now we come on to Lyric Wolf. So, years down the line in 2018, a small content creator named Lyric Wolf would begin talking to Jason after making a video transcribing a song from Jason's game Heartbound. They had a few conversations revolving around copyright and content creation, nothing crazy. On August 26, 2018, Lyric makes a donation of $800 to Jason while he was streaming. After that moment, Jason became suddenly and immensely romantically interested. The next day, Jason initiates ERP, or erotic roleplay if you don't know what that means, unprovoked with Lyric. Following this, Jason would shower Lyric with praise, affection, and attention. However, Lyric expressed a reluctance to be in a committed relationship with Jason countless times, prompting Jason to shame Lyric by calling him corrupt or clueless every time it was brought up. Throughout their conversations, Jason would constantly push Lyric to meet up with him at TwitchCon 2018, regularly talking about how much fun they would have. This is where it starts to get really bad, you guys. On October 26th, 2018, Lyric and Jason meet up at TwitchCon, taking the first day to roam around with Jason and Jason's sexual partner, Shay. That's right, the whole time Jason was going mauled mode over Lyric having interactions with other people, he was sucking and fucking with Shay. So, rules for thee and not for me, I guess. Later that night, after Jason and his group of streamer friends, excluding Lyric because they were 20 years old at the time, had gone to a bar, Jason excuses himself to go back to Lyric's hotel room. The next day, while Lyric and Shay were roaming the convention together without Jason, Shay drops the bombshell that Jason has a quote-unquote secret wife. Lyric was obviously not informed about this person and was understandably confused and upset. After going back to their hotel room, Lyric messages Jason asking about his wife, which he then denied and blamed Lyric for misunderstanding. Gold medalist for Olympic mental gymnastics and gaslighting over here, you guys. Absolute, top of the game. Frustrated with the non-response from Jason, Lyric then messaged Shay about the secret wife, hoping to get more information. Shay then told Lyric that Jason and them were sexual partners and that they were in an agreement to be open at the convention as long as it was communicated with each other. Jason did not communicate anything about Lyric to Shay. Shay, being pissed at Jason, messaged him about it, which only made Jason angrier, directing all of his anger at Lyric, blaming him for leaking his chat logs to Shay. Shortly after, Jason blocked Lyric. But it didn't end there. In early March of 2019, Lyric charged back the $800 donation, trying to recoup whatever losses he could at that point. And Jason, malding and farting and shitting and coming or whatever, publicly called out Lyric by name and made multiple posts on Twitter trying to paint Lyric as a scammer. Then on April 1st, 2019, Jason filed a DMCA claim against the Lyric Wolf YouTube channel. Lyric then posted about the claim on Twitter, to which Jason responded with more callouts about the chargebacks. Lyric responded with a Google Doc recounting the TwitchCon experience, and of course, Jason had to respond to this with 3 main points. Number 1, Jason is divorced. Number 2, Lyric doxed Jason / altered the Telegram messages. And 3, Lyric planned this and is a scammer. All of which are provably false, and I'll prove that to you guys coming up real quick. Lyric outlines a tactic that Shay employed when defending Jason known as DARVO, which stands for Deny, Attack, and Reverse Victim and Offender. So it says here, Jason, we will not be calling him Thor, by the way. I'm not just going to feed into his LARP that he's some kind of like god of thunder or god of anything. You are a little fucking trash hobgoblin that sits in your gamer chair all day, festering and smelling like shit. You are not Thor, you are Jason. So Jason's defense is a textbook example of DARVO. In this case, Jason employed DARVO to deny all allegations made against him, claiming that he is not even married. Quote, except he doesn't and never did. Jason and I weren't together, and him and his wife are divorced. He then attacked Lyric, accusing them of planning the entire situation and directly communicating with Lyric's partner to attack their character. He was very happily interacting with us in chat and soaking up praise for donating so much. He continued to visit stream every day and talk with us afterwards. Then he reversed the victim and offender by portraying himself as the victim of Lyric's attacks. Quote, they are a small indie studio that Lyric scanned. They are under attack because Lyric doxed them. Charging back after giving it to a small indie studio scamming us out of our income. As part of his attack messages, he posted numerous chat logs, some of which were modified and contained our lead developer's personal phone number. So, to start off with the Jason is divorced defense. No, he was not. He is now, but at the time he was still married to his then wife, Nicole. Their marriage lasted from October 17th, 2015 to August 19th, 2020, when the divorce was finalized, also having an official separation in February of 2020. The TwitchCon events happened in October of 2018. The Twitter feud happened in April and March of 2019. They were not divorced until August of 2020. You are a fucking liar, Jason. So, Jason was not in fact divorced. Second offense, Lyric doxed Jason / altered messages. The only sensitive personal information included in any of the Telegram messages was Lyric's own phone number twice. Never a single mention of Jason's phone number, and the whole reason Lyric's number was left in there was the intention to not doctor any images or any messages, to be as transparent as possible so it didn't look like Lyric was trying to like hide anything or, you know, be sussy baka. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the whole point. So once again, Jason, no, Lyric did not in fact dox you, bitch boy. Number 3, Lyric planned this and is a scammer. A lot of the commenters at the time were pointing to the fact that in screenshots it showed the chat logs were screenshotted the day the messages were sent. And they tried to use this as some sort of gotcha, like, haha, you had plans to release these incriminating messages of pirate software. You even screenshotted it before Jason could delete or alter them in any way. Clearly you had an agenda since the start. When in reality, does it not make more sense to screenshot them as early as possible to avoid any kind of tampering? I don't know, maybe just me. And the claim that Lyric was a scammer because he charged back $800 from an indie developer who has no intention to ever complete the game. I don't know, given the state of affairs we're in currently with the development of Heartbound, it doesn't seem like that $800 was doing anything towards the progress of the game. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that $800 would have ignited the dog in Jason and Heartbound would already be out by now with 3 sequels and a fucking battle pass with SpongeBob on top. I guess we'll never know. In any case, at the time, Jason's defensive and disingenuous claims worked completely in his favor. Given that the public had no idea about Jason's marriage since none of that information was in the public's eye, and Jason also just lied to everybody, claiming that his phone number had been leaked and he was receiving attacks through it, even though there was no mention of his phone number anywhere. If you actually did, if anybody at the time would have done due diligence to look through it at all, you know, see, oh, where's his phone number? I want to text this guy and I want to tell him I love him. you would have found out that his phone number's not in there at all. So there could not have been any fucking attacks through his phone number. You're just lying, Jason. You are a liar and a scumbag and a piece of shit. Fuck you. On April 7th, Lyric's new partner was contacted by Shay, who claims, Shay's talking here, she says, he has been attacking us daily on Twitter. As for the attack messages, he's been posting them as recently as yesterday, so I hope that your conversations with him will get him to stop. As part of his attack messages, he posted numerous chat logs, some of which were modified and contain our lead developer's personal phone number / contact info. Claims he's making have led to his community attacking us over Jason's personal phone number, which leads Lyric's partner to sympathize with Shay, saying, I can't forgive the fact that he basically doxed you guys, and that's a big yikes. Shay says, Lyric can fix this on his end by deleting the posts / reversing the chargeback. They really need that $800, you guys. Good God. On April 10th, Lyric's partner tried to convince him to reverse the chargeback and delete the public posts about Jason, even though Lyric expressed distrust and disgust at how they were twisting the situation to paint Lyric as bad faith as possible. But on April 14th, 2019, Lyric's partner was given confirmation from Jason that if Lyric deleted all the posts, then both Shay and Jason would delete their posts as well and let the drama just be dead and gone. It would be over. So it says here, in the end, I am looking forward to resolve all of this. If I manage to get him delete the oh god, this is so bad. In the end, I'm looking forward to resolving all of this. If I manage to get him to delete the posts, then both sides will all off from this and move on. When this over, it's over. That's my only wish without anybody getting in more troubles than we already had. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, I'm not the aggressor here. If he calls off the attack, all this goes away pretty fast. Jesus Christ, Jason, nobody's calling in the fucking bomb squad or like an airstrike on your fucking house, dude. None of this is even really happening, but genuinely, it's nothing. You might just, if it was real, the most that people would be doing is just like calling you a couple mean names. I'm sure that's the extent, or maybe telling you to kill yourself, but who gives a fuck? And then they say, all right, just to make sure, if he deletes everything from Twitter, Discord, and everything on YouTube community, will you do the following same thing? Yep. And that's the last message. But, of course, in classic pirate software fashion, he left all the posts up with Lyric's replies being deleted. So it looked the most favorable for Jason. So you can see here, it's like charging back an $800 donation 192 days after giving it to a small indie studio results in situations like this. As someone scamming us out of our income, I will fight you into the ground to prevent you from making a single cent off of our work. And then you can see surrounding it, this post was deleted by the post author. All over it. And then this OnlyFerrets account, by the way, that's Shay. Sorry I didn't go back to your hotel room after the partner party like you asked, but now I can see why Jason didn't either. But he did, and you know he did. You're both just liars and scumbags, and you're terrible people. It wasn't until years later that the posts involved would actually be deleted. You can't really find them anymore unless you go onto like an archive or something like that. They are deleted, but it took, like I said, years to get them deleted. So for years, it just looked like Lyric was a piece of shit scumbag who was trying to slander pirate software and make him look like a terrible person, when in reality pirate software is the golden god. He's not. And you're a piece of shit, Jason. I hope you can hear this. You are a terrible person. Apparently as well, according to Lyric, pirate software would continue to call Lyric a scammer long after the posts were deleted, but I don't really have any evidence of that. I'm just taking Lyric's word at this point. And Lyric Wolf as a YouTube channel completely fizzled out and shut down entirely as a result of this, with the last video being uploaded 3 years ago. Safe to say that Jason Hall, pirate software, had an incredibly negative impact on this person's life as a whole. And I really don't think that's something that should ever be forgotten or just chalked up to drama. Time and time again, throughout his entire adult life, it seems, Jason has back to back just screwed with people's lives and not given a shit about anybody but himself. But if it wasn't proof enough already that Jason Hall is a gooner, degenerate scumbag who uses everyone he comes in contact with as much as he possibly can, just squeezing them for all they're worth, we'll take it from one last source here, and I'll be brief with this one. A Kiwi Farms user by the name Boing Boing recently came out as a former co-worker and roommate to Jason. Co-worker where, you might ask? Blizzard Entertainment. Did you guys know that Jason worked there? I didn't know that. That's just crazy. He's never mentioned it. Would it be a surprise to learn that there is practically nothing good to say about him at all? I don't think so. So Boing Boing comes out swinging immediately, saying, I should have known this shit dick had a thread. I can't seem to escape his dumbass. Pardon my derailment with the sole intention of dropping some first-hand experience that should confirm some things. He was my roommate until I asked him to get the fuck out because of destroyed property and his disgusting way of living in squalor. Can verify he was a roommate with mods in the form of Facebook chat messenger history. But I doubt I can retrieve any photos taken for the landlord off the 12+ year phone that took them. I will be somewhat vague to avoid doxing myself. She then goes on to write about what her experience living with Jason Hall was like. You can pause right now to read the whole thing if you like, but I'm just going to take you through the key points and the more interesting and important information in my opinion. Boing Boing says, Thor became my roommate because his dad kicked him out of the house, and I happened to be in need of someone to take over a room that another person fell through on. I already observed some of this shit, but I was in a bit of a bind and I figured it would be fine since we were both on the same overtime schedule. Really should have known that if Joey Ray didn't want him around, it was best to keep max distance. So what she says here is true, then even Jason's own dad didn't want him around. At least enough to the point where he felt the need to remove him from his home. She goes on to say, nope, from the first days after moving in, the kitchen was a literal pigsty. All pans would be constantly used and left dirty, usually with food remnants intact, dishes and utensils everywhere, sink full, filth all over the stove and counters. I also had a new patent leather chair that his totally non-destructive cat started scratching to hell the same day he moved in, and he only ever offered to tape up the chair. There was no correction to make the cat scratch anything but the chair. No scratcher was provided, no supervision of the common area, nothing. He even tried to gaslight me by insisting the chair was already scratched up. Zero pets touched the apartment before he moved in. I asked that he replace the $100 chair since all the surfaces were destroyed, and he insisted taping was fine. He didn't do either. His general fuckery led me to further investigate the living situation overall a couple of weeks in. He never put a shower curtain up in his bathroom, so the floor was dirty and spotty from pooling water. The bathroom countertop that took up a whole wall was covered in what I can only assume is ash, bong accoutrement, and other detritus. Random shit was all over the place. His bedroom door was left cracked open, so I looked inside. Again, shit everywhere, trash, clothes, bags, and dishes everywhere. The fucking walls were smeared with, I don't fucking know, cum or snot or both. If this was only about a month of damage, I couldn't afford to keep this guy around. I used the cat situation as a gentle way to ask him to remove himself as soon as possible since we were still working together, claiming that he wasn't honest about the damage his cat would do, and that clearly pissed him off. Aside from all this information, in another comment, Boing Boing mentions and shows picture proof of Jason leaving skid marks in the shared toilet. So if it wasn't clear before, it should very well be clear to you now that Jason Hall does not care about the people around him or their general comfort or discomfort. He's hardly even concerned about himself, as we'll see in this next statement. And obviously, I'm not going to show the pictures of his skid marks. That would be disgusting and probably get my channel banned or terminated or killed or something. Other random things I haven't seen mentioned is that his shitty food habits and lack of cleanliness led to some sort of bowel disorder, which he was claiming to be possible cancer. To my knowledge, it was never actually cancer, and he used it as a shocking event for sympathy to warn others about how their habits can catch up to them. All for ass pats on Facebook during his health journey. And this is where the fuckwit finally falls off the face of the earth for me, until I started seeing his smug face all over social media. It chaps my ass that people like him got this far by doing no work and lying to everyone. Not like that's a pearl-clutching revelation or unique circumstances. His resume is fan fiction, and everyone in tech/gaming who knows better thinks he's a fucking joke. Got him. So, if it wasn't already clear, it seems like Pirate Software was just living it up the Asmongold way, you know, fucking roaches crawling all over him, and just generally being a very homeless person living in a house. I don't know how else to describe it, really. So it sounds like he was the Roach King before being the Roach King, and also went to Facebook to sympathy bait people into jerking him off over possible cancer. Sounds oddly familiar to his entire life story before and after, but I guess some things never change. So, what was the point of this video? All of this information is not only public, but it's been talked about before by, I'm sure, countless people. But I guess that's the nature of slop, isn't it? Never an original idea or story. However, I think with this video, I'm more so trying to give a warning to anyone who's been on the fence over the course of the year about Pirate Software. I think there's more than enough reason to give up on him. He has shown over the years, time and time and time again, to be untrustworthy, dishonest, manipulative, and fucking deplorable, honestly. He uses his platform as a shield from criticism. No matter what happens at the end of the day, he can always just run and cry to his Discord server, and there will always be at least one person there to validate his claims and tell him that he can do no wrong, and, you know, pat him on the back, tell him it's okay. And it's honestly just fucking pathetic. If you're like me and you found Pirate Software through doom scrolling on YouTube Shorts and never really looked into him much further than that, I think it's really, really important to understand that it's a lot easier to come across as confident and informed in like a 30 to 90 second short than it is to keep up the same image over thousands of hours of streamed content. At some point, the ass talking was going to catch up to you, Jason, and I don't know how you didn't know it already. If you ever take a look into his actual streams, it becomes so clear so fast that he has no idea what he's talking about, and he is just talking out of his ass. You can see through his body language and just generally everything that he is, I don't even know how to say it, just completely he's way too confident in shit he has no ideas about. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. This was a lot more rancid than I thought it was going to be, but hopefully we'll be getting used to some more lighthearted, fun stuff over the course of this channel. And I guess we'll see. Subscribe if you're gay, dislike if you're down with the Pirate Software's dirty cum wall. And I don't know, it's good to be back. Expect less effort from now on and content more consistently, I hope. We'll see. Love you guys. Bye-bye.